Okay, today we are going to talk about my favorite subject, the separation between the mind and the heart. Welcome, everyone. And this is the inner war that we have between the rational and the emotional part, the two parts that will never agree. The mind will always tell us what we need to do, right? You need to work, you need to clean, you need to fold laundry, you need to, so many things, right? A list of needs. And the heart, if you can listen to the heart, will tell you what you want to do. I want to go to the beach. I want to dance in the rain. It's rainy today here. I want to rest. I want to eat. I want to watch a movie. So many things the heart wants to do. So those parts are there for a reason. We'll talk about the origin of those parts, the reason they exist, but also the downside of how much suffering the inner work can bring, and how can we find the inner leader that can lead all those parts and noises rushing in our body and mind. So we'll start with a story that I love to share about my son. We moved the country. We moved here when he was 6. And one day he came to me and said, Mommy, what is this noise? And it wasn't really noisy outside. And I said, what do you mean? He said, what is this noise? And then I realized that he started to think. And what he hear is his thoughts. And I said, oh, it's your mind. And this is a moment, it's very early, 6, because we moved the country. He had to learn a new language. He was a little bit in survival mode. And the mind had to be born in order to protect. And now I want you to think about you. When do you think your mind was born? I don't know if you remember time in early childhood that it didn't have this mind checking you, telling you you're not good enough, blaming you, confusing you, thinking too much, fearful, overwhelmed. Do you remember time like that the mind wasn't there? I had it until the age of 4. I remember I loved nature. I remember so many moments of freedom to cry, freedom to dance, freedom to be. But then my parents divorced and my mind took over. What happened to you guys? That the mind had to be there. And this is also something important to understand, that the mind saved us back then. Right? Think about my son, the mind saved him. He had to learn fast a new language to survive at school. It's not easy. It can be, kids can be also bullying sometimes, like spell this, spell that, right? So he needs to really survive and learn and understand what's going on. So the mind is also helpful in a way. If the mind is efficient and curious and young and intelligent and can focus, we need the mind in our life. The problem is when the mind takes over when we are young, it's usually out of fear. So the first thing that I would love you to think about, and also journal maybe after, is when did it start? This inner war in a way, right? When did it start that the mind took over? And then we'll continue from there soon. It's not a must to know that. And many people say, my mind was there always. I don't remember time of freedom. Many people say that. And it means that one of the first mirrors you saw when you were born was a little bit strict or judgmental, or wasn't clean or beautiful enough, or something happened to you really in young age that you don't remember time of freedom. If I look at my daughter, she's 9 and she's still free. She's too free to scream, to express, to make noise from morning to night, but she's still free, looking in the mirror, saying, oh, I'm so beautiful, I'm so talented. Yeah. But I didn't have this freedom so many years. Some other people that I meet, they say, I was free until the age of 22. It's rare, but it's beautiful. Some people had a beautiful childhood, teenage years. They felt confident. They felt in their body, comfortable, and everything was all right. So it's a little bit rare, but what happened to you? You are the important one. So the first thing, you want to understand what happened. That is parts of us that is also smart, that we need, was born. The second thing is to understand the price. Because when you think about it, the moment that you had in the childhood that you felt freedom, some people are really longing for this kind of freedom, because if you remember it was really good. Maybe even later on, you traveled somewhere after college, or you've been in a beautiful island and you felt, wow, I'm free. The mind loves to learn about new cultures. The heart loves the new food and nature and people. And you had a moment of bliss, right? And you want to go back to this place, and you say to other people, go there. It's a beautiful country. It's a beautiful place. But it doesn't mean they will experience the same. It happened to you there. Yeah. And you miss this harmony, this inner harmony, that there was no voices inside struggling. So when the mind take over, what's happening, we lose our freedom, right? And each person here lost freedom to do something else. Some people stop crying freely. Other people stop crying in front of other people. Putting boundaries, expressing anger, looking in other people's eyes, falling in love, being adventurous, dancing without alcohol or drugs, just dancing freely, moving the body, intimacy, like we lost freedom. What is the first emotion that will feel if somebody takes your freedom? You can share in the chat also. What is the emotion? If somebody takes your freedom, yes, thank you. Anger. Think about physically, right? If somebody will hold you, of course, right? But also emotionally. If somebody takes your freedom, I want you to feel the anger. You're allowed to feel anger, right? But if it's not allowed to show anger as a child, it will boil into sadness. Yeah, we'll talk about the shame as well. Very good point. For example, my son, when we moved the country, when he was 6, he was screaming every morning, I don't want to go to school. We're holding the door, right? And I allowed him to express the anger. We stayed longer. We're late to school every day. Just express the anger, cry, shout, and then life is waiting for you. You can do it, right? I didn't have the privilege to share anger, and many people share with me, you didn't have the freedom to share anger at your home. Maybe the parents didn't know how to accept that. And then it's boiling into sadness like an inner stew. And sometimes the emotion bursts and the mind is controlling until it can become depression and despair. So many people come to me in depression or despair because for so many years there is the inner war, the mind that is thinking too much, trying to control, the heart is depressed, trying to have some, to breathe. And you say, I don't think it will change anymore. But then we do the work. We'll talk about the work soon. And you go from depression to sadness, from sadness to anger, and then you're on the way out. Okay? Now I want to move to a few types of personalities, because we talk about the inner war, but not everybody are aware of war because the mind is so strong, 90% strong, and the heart is so small, there is no war. You're going to work every day. The mind chose, the rational part in you chose your job because it's efficient, it's practical, it's financial, the right decision. The mind decides, everything about your life, what to wear. If the mind chooses what to wear, for example, people wear only black or white or blue or gray. If don't worry, I have a colorful dress and a red dress. And if the heart chooses, it's more colorful, red, more adventurous, right? But let's say people that the mind choose what they eat, they are very strict with themselves. And even the mind sometimes can choose also your partner. There is a list of things you're looking for, and you have a gray life. There is no war. There is one boss, the judge, the policeman, the jailer, the strict father inside you. But if there is war, it's a good sign. If there is inner war, it means that you hear also your heart, that another part of you is claiming freedom, even though maybe you cannot give it to your heart, but you hear also the other side saying, I want. For example, waking up in the morning, I don't want to go to work. I don't want to go to school. Do you hear this voice? Maybe you still go to work and you still go to school, but do you hear this voice? And this is advance in my eyes. When the mind and the heart are strong and you have this inner war inside you or battle, it means that you did already a little bit of emotional work, or it means that it's not so like 90-10. When I meet people, when the mind is the boss, there is no emotion at all and there is control, the path is really long because we need to do a lot of emotional work just to learn how to listen to this voice. It's like the heart is so young, it doesn't know how to speak. If you hear also what you want and there is a war, it's already advanced. The suffering is higher because you don't know what to decide many times. Maybe there is confusion, but the way out is shorter because you have the voice of the heart. Let's talk a little bit about shame because you wrote it in the chat. And by the way, you can write in the chat many things you want me to touch on. I will talk about fear, I'll talk about shame. What's happening when the mind take over the controller, the protector, and the heart is suppressed, the mind use all kind of techniques to control. One of them is shame, right? Because it's hiding ourselves, right? We are hiding ourselves. We are hiding the heart. We are hiding parts of ourselves. For example, some people hide themselves externally. You see teenager with big shirt, think about yourself. And did you allow yourself to go with a bathing suit to the beach or with something tight, tight jeans, or did you hide yourself in big shirts? So sometimes it's physically hiding, right? I remember myself, I was hiding myself. I was wearing my grandfather jackets. I loved my grandfather when I was young. Really, he was an amazing man. And I asked for some of his jackets. He's big, right? And I was like this, like trying to hide myself physically, but also hiding myself verbally, right? Not letting yourself share freely and talk freely. This is another hiding yourself. So the mind is saying you're not good enough, or using shame or belittling in order not to show ourselves. And this is a technique of control. Think about when the mind needs to take control suddenly in the age of 4, 6, 17. It's not easy. It needs to use techniques. So another technique is fear and anxiety, like somebody wrote in the chat. Fear, right? Fear about the future, fear about everything, fear about doing things, fear about new things, and anxiety. And then the mind is saying, I need to be in control because it's scary. Another technique is belittling, like I said, or confusion. Confusion, it's a great sign. I want you to, from now on, if you want to try and you believe me, not to say I'm confused. To say I have two inner voices, right? I have the part of me that is smart saying what I need to do. Other part is saying what I want to do. They're not supposed to agree. People call it confusion. Yeah, it's not confusion. You didn't decide yet. The problem is that it can be about small things. And if it's about small things in life, it's hard to take decisions, right? And sometimes it's about big things, big decisions in your life. And then also it's hard. Yeah. If, for example, it's Valentine's, right? Tomorrow, about love. So that those two parts will not always agree about a partner. What your mind wants in a partner. Think about that for a second. So each person is different. I can throw ideas, but for example, the mind wants somebody stable, somebody loyal, right? Somebody that you can talk to and share things. Financial security, thinking about the future. If you want a family, a good dad. If you don't want kids, maybe somebody that prefer not to have kids. So it needs to be like the mind wants also a partner there, to hold life. And he's right. And what the heart wants, it's very personal. Somebody to, maybe some people, want to travel with, somebody to sing with, to play music with, a real friend, touch, right? It will be the right, sense of touch. Many things. So who choose your partner? Who wants to choose your partner? And sometimes the mind and the heart will not agree. They say that true love is when the heart is falling in love, chemistry. The mind is saying, you know what, it's a good deal, and all the house is going together. Because many times in big decision, it's better to choose when all your parts agree. For example, with love, only if the heart will choose, it will be dramatic, it will be a roller coaster, right? And the mind will say, you see, I told you. And if the mind will choose because the list is very good, there will not be passion, or it will be a little bit empty. The same with work. If you have in a battle about which job to choose or to change a job, we are working so many hours a day sometimes. It's so important to have something that the heart is excited about. And it doesn't have to be about the work, maybe about the people, about other things, about maybe it's in another country, that the mind is interested and curious and growing, and all your house is going together. So with big decision, we want to wait that the answer will come. But the problem is that your mind will continue and continue to think and to try to convince and to push the agenda. So for that, we need, sooner we'll arrive to the tools that will help us to calm the voices inside us. I was very busy as a young child. I'm trying to write a book right now, so part of it is about my life. So I see that I'm sharing more about my life now. But I had a lot of noise inside. It was hard for me to memorize texts, and I see my kids, they are remembering texts so easily. But I was full in my mind. I was, my parents divorced, so I didn't feel safe. So you're over alert and busy. So I wasn't empty enough to really remember things or to be present. When I start meditation, after years of meditation, and I enjoy silence, inner silence, I don't know how I lived before. Because if you have this war inside and it's so busy, it's so tiring. It's exhausting, right? So I will offer you a lot of tools and things you can do at home in order to start to create this calmness. Maybe probably already started, some of you, yeah, calmness, and to find a voice that will create order and leadership, and the world will be calmer. Why the mind is so hectic sometimes and it feels like an inner war? What is the source, do you think, of everything, of the criticism and blame and negative thinking and complaint? Try to write in the chat if you can. There is a reason that the mind is doing that. Think about even meeting someone, a friend or someone, or going to a new class, and the mind try to criticize. Yeah, he's not good enough, or the class is not good enough. Yes, the mind wants to stay safe. It's all out of fear because you weren't safe. It was real. Yeah, you weren't safe if your mind is active like that. So a lot of compassion to the mind. There is a part of you that feels that is not safe, and he thinks that if you will be alert and control and ready, so it will prevent pain. So let's imagine you're going, today outside, and you find a small child that is lost. He lost his parents. And he's coming to you and he's afraid. What you will say to this child? Everything is all right. I will find your parents. You are safe with me. Right? I don't know if you'll find the parents, but you'll say that, right? You'll promise and you will try to bring some safety and calmness, first of all, and then you can talk to him and see what he remembers. The same I want you to do to yourself. Every time you hear a thought that you're angry about, if the man is telling you have a job interview but you're not good enough before, right? Or the man is telling you cannot do it, you cannot make it, or it's all your fault, or bring confusion or overwhelmed. Sometimes we had enough from this voice, but there is a adult inside, the higher self, the adult that can say, okay, so a part of me is afraid, is asking for help. Instead of buying into that and believing this voice that is telling me I'm not good enough for years because you heard it from a teacher or a father, and it's not really mine, right? I will calm this voice. I will take the microphone and say, hey, everything is all right. Take a breath. Observe your breath. Listen to the sounds. Everything is all right. This is one tool. You have the ability to change the scene, because if not, the movie will continue and you have no control of the movie of your life. You have the ability every moment to say, no, not now. Let's do it now for a second. Close your eyes for a second. Take a deep breath in and out. Relax your shoulders and ask yourself, what do you hear now? What sounds do you hear around? Really focus only on the sound. So you hear my voice, but what else outside of your house, inside your room? Maybe the laptop. I hear the rain. And you can open your eyes. You took one breath and you're connected to the sound, and something changed. Something changed. You cut the trail of thoughts. Maybe another thought will come and another trail will come. But we want to be able to do it as much as you want a day when you feel that you don't like, the train that you took in your mind. Yeah. Second thing I recommend is to find something to release emotions. Yesterday I did a breathwork session, holotropic breathwork in the pad in the center, and people come, and I was surprised that many people came that they never did it before, and they came and they thought they are coming to more meditative breath work. And what I meant is more catharsis. And catharsis, it means to go into the pain body, to release anger, to release fear somatically. I will explain. And it was really amazing for them because it's a surprise. So when I started my journey, and I had a lot of, I had my strong mind, strong heart, strong personality, but a lot of suffering. I did a lot of meditation of the mind. I did a transcendental meditation. I don't know if you know that. It's repeating a mantra. When I was 16, I did martial arts, kung fu, very strict and disciplined teacher, 5 days a week at 6 a.m. before school, doing a lot of imaginary meditation. Imaginary meditation, taking yourself to a beautiful place or creating reality. And then I did later on Vipassana. And I read a lot of books. So the meditation and the practices I did was more connected to mind, to discipline, to focus, to structure. When I arrived to more India, I discovered the emotional work, the somatic work, like people call. When people say somatic, it's more connected to the body. And then there are all kinds of techniques to release all the suppression, the suppressed anger we talked about, and sadness, and basically to remove the dust. So everywhere in the world there is holotropic or rebirthing or things like that also, wherever you are. And I recommend you to try to go to these classes. And if not, go to maybe ecstatic dance. Try not to bring your mind there, to be with your body. All kind of things working with the inner child somatically. Because understanding is not enough. We are carrying a pain. And when there is a lot of pain, the mind feels the need to still protect. But when we are connecting to our feelings, there is a powerful feeling that, that I'm energetic, I'm alive. And anger, for example. Anger is beautiful. And not to lash out of other people at all, but to connect to your willpower, to put a boundary of somebody that belittles you. I'm talking about justify anger, to protect yourself. And anger is only an energy that also connects to passion. So basically the somatic work can help us be alive. Today I will teach only one tool that I can do over Zoom, because somatic work, it's better to do in person. And it's nice to do in person. But the tool I decided to use today, and I never taught it in a masterclass, is the Zen shout. Because I want today to give you one tool from the mind, one for the heart, and one for the center. So the somatic shout is like that. Basically, when people think about Zen, and I love Zen, I'm a Dharma teacher, and Zen meditation is my practice. but they think about a lot of discipline, sitting, facing the wall, right? But Zen is cool. You know that they do a lot of, there are 3 months of practice and 3 months of fun. They go and do karaoke. The monk are going sometimes to have some intimacy with the widows in the village because a service, because they can, sometimes in Japan, they're not remarrying for all their lives. And they also use the Zen shout. So I want us to practice that, okay? I want you to try to sit straight. If you're not driving, you can do that, okay? The Zen shout. If you are driving, do it later with the recording. And then you take a deep breath to the belly. Ha! And you could hear it. I don't know, sometimes the Zoom cannot, but I was shouting. Did you hear it, Barbara, the shout a little bit? Yeah. So you take a deep breath to the belly and you squeeze the air and a voice will come. Try it because you're muted. You can try it. Now, to prepare to that, you can do this. You take a deep breath. Ha, ha. Try to do this. Ha. Now, it's different than ah, ah. You see, if I do this, ah, it's from the throat. But ha, we have so much power in our hara, in our belly. We want to connect to that. So try to create a deeper voice. And then take a break and breathe deeply to the belly and squeeze it. Ha! With voice. And this is really interesting. When we do it in groups, sometimes we do it in the training group. And when you hear other people do it, you can hear the state of their heart. Some Zen shout sounds very sad. Other very tired. You every morning, every day, your shout will sound different. So the practice with the Zen shout is to do the shout and then what did I feel right now? What is my state? I'm energetic, I'm tired, I'm sad, I'm loud, I'm small, because many times we are not connected to our heart. So I wanted to try to practice that. I know it sounds a little bit strange, but you know, when I was traveling in the world, I did strange things. 10 years I was traveling, looking for all kind of techniques, and some of them I will never teach because it was really not helping me and very strange. But the tools that I teach is the tools that help me. And there are so many beautiful tools around the world. So I gave you the advice to stop as many moments as possible, to take a breath and to connect with the sounds and to cut the chain of thoughts. And this is helping with the mind. I gave you today the Zen shout. And if you can, to sit with yourself 15 minutes, even 5 minutes a day, doing nothing, it's for the center. Doing nothing is very hard. For the mind, it doesn't understand. It's not efficient. Why to do nothing? You have so many things to do. For the heart, you don't want to do it. It's not comfortable, right? You prefer to lay down. You have pain in your leg. You want to, then you suddenly remember that you are thirsty or hungry or need things. So when you sit quietly, this is already your higher self. It's already the guide, that is guiding you. Okay, now we are going to sit.